Here one is pericarditis, another is tamponade. That is called cardiac tamponade. Cardiac tamponade. Okay. Okay. Now, the wall of the heart. Wall of the heart has three layers. Innermost layer is a very thin layer. Innermost layer is a very thin layer lining of epithelium that is called endocardium. The middle layer is a muscular layer, very thick. This is muscular, a lot of muscle fibers, cardiac muscle tissue. So this is the middle layer, and that is called myocardium. So this is endocardium, innermost thin layer. Then next one is a thick layer of muscle, that is called myo. Myo means muscle, by the way. Cardium. Makes sense. Endo means inside, right? Endo means what? Inside. Myo means muscle. Okay? Middle muscular layer, thick, is myocardium. And outermost layer you see is what? The visceral pericardium. Outermost layer is actually the layer of pericardium which is attached to the heart. Visceral pericardium. Okay? So those are three layers, if you see here. In the wall, this is the endocardium, innermost lining, then myocardium, muscular middle layer, and pericardium with the outermost layer. Make sense? Okay. Sometimes inflammation can occur in the innermost layer. It is not very common. It is kind of rare, but it happens. Inflammation in endocardium, usually bacterial infection. Bacterial infection. Now you tell me, what should be the name of it? Inflammation of endocardium. Endocarditis. I mentioned many times, itis means inflammation of that structure, right? Is it clear? So, endocarditis is a bacterial infection. Less often occurs, but it happens. Okay, so that is endocarditis. Endocarditis can cause fever, irregular heartbeat. Okay. Now, if inflammation due to infection occurs in the muscle layer, which is the myocardium, that is called myocarditis. Make sense? Myocarditis. So, endocarditis is the inflammation of endocardium, innermost lining. Myocarditis is the inflammation of middle muscle layer, heart muscle. This one often occurs due to viral infection. This one more often due to bacterial infection. Okay. In myocarditis, the patient often complains chest pain in the muscle of the heart, irregular heartbeat, nighttime sweating, fever. Okay. Any infection can cause fever. Okay, makes sense? So, those are the problems. signs. So those are the clinical conditions in the wall of the heart. Okay. Okay, now we'll see the valves inside the heart. I'm sure all of you have heard that there are valves inside the heart. And how many valves you have? You have 4 sets of valves. One set is here, you see, between right atrium and right ventricle. This is called right atrioventricular valve. Makes sense? Between atrium and ventricle, atrioventricular or AV valve. Is it clear? AV valve. And this is what? Left AV valve. Makes sense? So, right AV valve, right AV valve is also called tricuspid. Cusp means leaflet or leaf-like structure. So, in right side, you have 3 leaf-like structures. That's why called tricuspid. Left AV valve is bicuspid. That means how many cusps? How many? 2. Bi. Okay. So this one has another name. Bicuspid is also called mitral valve. Have you heard this? Very common, right? Mitral valve. There are 2 other valves. You know, from left ventricle, blood goes to the body. You all know that, right? From left ventricle, blood gets out, oxygenated blood to the body. And this is called aorta. This is aorta, largest artery that takes the blood, oxygenated blood, out. And at the beginning of aorta, you have semilunar valves. Semilunar. And this is called aortic semilunar because it is in the aorta. Aortic semilunar. Half moon. Lunar means moon. You know that. Aortic semilunar valve. And the last one, you see, from right ventricle, blood goes to the lung, deoxygenated blood. And this is pulmonary trunk. This is called pulmonary trunk. And at the beginning of pulmonary trunk, you have here pulmonary semilunar. So you got 4 sets of valves. You see, right AV, which is tricuspid. Left AV is what? Tri or bi? Bicuspid, right? And then aortic semilunar and pulmonary semilunar. So, aortic semilunar and pulmonary semilunar. So those are the valves. Okay. 2 AV valves and 2 semilunar valves. Okay? Valves do what? Open in one way. All these valves open what? In one way. Like it will open the door in one way, but you can get out, but you cannot get in. Very simple. You can get out, but cannot get back. Is it clear? One way door. Okay. So, sometimes these valves can get harder and narrower, can get fused together. Three cusps, right? I said tricuspid or bicuspid. Three leaf-like structures, then they can get fused to each other, okay? Attached to each other, instead of staying separate. Okay? And that is the condition called stenosis. Valvar stenosis. Okay? Hardening, narrowing, and sometimes fusion of the valves. Okay? That is called what? Stenosis. Yes.
Is there any cure for that, or do you just have to replace the heart when that happens?
You can put artificial valves.
Valves.
Yes. Okay. Because you see, when they get narrow and stiff, hard, they will not open completely, easily. Flexibility is lost, right? Normally they move like this, easily, right? But they cannot move. If they get fused together, okay, and get hard, they will not be able to move. The space will get narrow. The opening will be narrow. Make sense? Normally, when they open completely, a lot of blood flow, right? Now they move a little bit. So, less blood will pass through.
So that's what will cause like a cardiac arrest?
That can cause cardiac arrest. If blood cannot get out, heart has to work more, right? So, pump more forcefully, 24 hours. That will cause cardiac arrest. So, stenosis, okay? The last thing I'll mention here is, see here, two large arteries take the blood out from the heart. One is the aorta that I have mentioned, another is the pulmonary trunk. What can happen sometimes, and this is the heart, okay? This is the aorta from left ventricle. This is pulmonary trunk from right ventricle. What can happen? The aorta or pulmonary trunk in one place can get dilated or expanded, okay, wider. And this is called aneurysm. Aneurysm is the expansion or dilation of the artery. Anywhere in the body, it can happen. Sometimes it can happen in the aorta, that is called aortic aneurysm. If it happens in pulmonary trunk, pulmonary aneurysm. Okay. If that person has hypertension or high blood pressure, sometimes that can even rupture and blood can get out, can cause bleeding. Okay, so wall gets expanded like this, the artery, and that is called aneurysm. Okay, and that could be serious problem. Okay, so let's stop here. So you have learned heart, right, and some of its diseases. In next class we'll talk more about the cardiac science.